Alright, so I didn't expect the last part to do as well as it did. I'm very happy that it did. And as a follow-up video, I was going to do the beauty of the rival character, but I think I'm going to do this video some other time. But for now, we're going to be addressing more of my favorite angry characters. Now look, there are a lot of characters who are angry, and I mean a lot. If it wasn't already clear by the plentiful comments I got about certain characters I left out of the video, and look, I just can't talk about every single one of them. And for some of the characters I'm going to talk about, I might talk about some a little more than others I'm just going to give a quick name drop and that's it. Also, I'm really hoping this video doesn't get anything copyrighted. I didn't expect the video to do so well, and who knew 44,000 views would come to bite me back in the butt. That was a lot of money lost, but it's not all about the money. So like I said, I'm going to drop a few names real quick. So Vegeta from Dragon Ball.
You see, Frieza, you aren't dealing with the average Saiyan warrior anymore.
Oh my god.
Now Vegeta is going to be in the video I'm going to do later on the beauty of the rival character. And yeah, Vegeta got some mad anger issues, same with Gohan and even Goku to an extent. And of course Broly, but when I think of Vegeta, I more attribute pride over anger. Although, yeah, Vegeta is pretty angry. Next, Meliodas. Now, Seven Deadly Sins is actually one of my favorite anime ever. Best character from that series, hands down, easily is Bon. And Meliodas has some anger issues for sure. He is the sin of wrath for a reason, but he's still not one of my favorite examples of an angry character. He's a good one for sure, but after season 3 and me reading through the entire manga, it feels like Meliodas' character is just so random at certain moments. I'm just kind of like, eh. But no, Meliodas is also a pretty cool example. Now, the final character I will be addressing for a little bit before I move on to the name drops and then the real characters we're going to be talking about in this video. Let's talk about Bakugo from My Hero Academia for a little bit. Alright, so Bakugo is going to be a character I mostly criticize in the beauty of the rival character video. I like Bakugo as a character a lot. Now, I'm more of a Dabi, All Might, and Kirishima person, but I don't despise Bakugo as a character. He's angry for sure, but his motivations to be angry for me I've always found a little bit shallow, but he's definitely worthy of a name drop for sure. Okay, so now I'm going to name drop a few characters that were brought up a good bit in my comment section. Okay, Wolverine, Punisher, John Wick, literally the entire Mishima family from Tekken, the Angry Birds, Anger from Inside Out, and almost every Sith ever. Now, I already know I still left out some characters, and you're probably already leaving it in the comment section below, but now we can finally move on to the real characters we're going to be talking about, the big boys of the video. And I'd say the major distinction between these characters that I'm going to be talking about versus the ones in part 1 is that these characters, even though they are, trust me, very angry characters, I would say it's more of a focused rage. Not saying the other characters didn't have focus in their goals and ambitions, but if not, these characters seem angry less often, but when they snap, oh boy, you do not want to be the target of their anger. Now, the first character we're going to be talking about is the Goblin Slayer.
Goblin Slayer.
What? No! I mean your name, not your job title.
Hey, we're not on a name basis yet.
So for over a year now, I've heard of Goblin Slayer. I've had friends tell me that I should get into Goblin Slayer, and after reading the comments, I finally decided to read it. And for a while, I also heard that it was basically a Berserk light. No, yeah, that pretty much describes it. That's not a diss or a bad thing. If you're gonna imitate anything in style of tone and stuff like that, then you might as well as imitate, in my opinion, the greatest manga ever. And after reading some of the comments in the last video, I kind of binge read it in the manga to save me a lot of time. So I'm gonna get this out of the way right now. Even though Goblin Slayer, I don't think is anywhere near Guts in terms of character writing, he is so up there in terms of cool factor. As soon as I started reading the manga, I was like, yo, this dude is something else. Like, I've seen all the memes and they're pretty spot on. He really is the Doom guy, but just a medieval version. And even though it's really cool how he kind of has this obsession with killing goblins and like every chapter he's killing some goblin, I kind of find it funny to a certain extent. Like, nothing else could be happening. The whole world could be on fire. A nuke could have gone off and he will just be chilling until someone mentions goblin and he's there out of nowhere. And I think the manga panel that got me really intrigued to his character is when he said the only good goblin is a dead goblin. Although it was kind of messed up because he was killing like children goblins. I mean, you know, say what you want about that, but I think that really shows just how much of an obsession he has with killing goblins and the rage that motivates him. When he's angry and his eye does that effect where it's like the light glows from the helmet, that thing looks near godly. And I really do get the Black Swordsman Guts vibe from this, how Guts kind of acted based on his trauma and he had an obsession with killing all those who ruined his life. And that's really the Goblin Slayer here. You see in certain manga panels where he says, I don't really care about the money, pay me what you want, and he talks about enjoying it. This boy doesn't even do it anymore for money. He just does it because he likes it. If that doesn't say something about his character, I don't know what will. But his ruthless, no mercy attitude is one of my favorite things about the Goblin Slayer. If you are a goblin, man, I don't know what to tell you. You're just dead. So people can criticize what they want about Goblin Slayer, about it being kind of like a cheaper version of Berserk. Again, I don't really think that's a bad thing because of how good Berserk is. is, but in my opinion, the Goblin Slayer is definitely worthy of a high position at the table of the angry characters. Now, I'm really happy some of you brought this next character up a ton in the comments because he is actually my favorite character in all of Street Fighter, and we're going to be talking about Akuma. Akuma Matata. It means no living for the rest of your days. It's his problem-free philosophy. Akuma Matata. Now, as much as I love Bison, as much as I love Vega, as much as I love Blanka as characters, none of them come close to Akuma. Akuma is the ultimate boss in Street Fighter, like literally. So him and his brother were training under this master named Gotetsu, and the martial art variant that they were learning essentially had two sides to it, the good peaceful side and then the rage dark side. And so Akuma's brother wanted to learn the peaceful side, while Akuma was like, nah bro, that's lame, and I'm gonna learn the dark evil side of it, essentially accepting and giving in to the murderous intent. He quote unquote kills his brother, and then he tries to convince Ryu to join the dark side. Wow, this sounds really familiar for some reason. But I think the aspect that I love most about Akuma's rage is that even though it's very evident, he doesn't just unleash it upon anybody. He only does it if he needs to against a worthy opponent. And even though he sacrificed his humanity, Akuma still has honor and dignity about him, which is something I really do respect in an angry character. He's not just some doofus going around killing whatever. His anger is focused in for a purpose. Now, there was a DLC in Asura's Wrath, which was Akuma versus Asura, the angriest versus the strongest, and I would show clips of it here, but I'm trying not to get copyrighted again. But I must say, that was a wholesome DLC for sure. And I think the coolest part of the DLC was when Akuma turned into Oni. If you thought he looked angry before, oh my goodness. Like, I know his finishing move is called the Raging Demon, but here he literally looks like a Raging Demon. Alright, this might sound bold, but I haven't seen a better super move for any fighting game character. When Akuma lunges at you with that one knee up, hits you so many times while it's in the dark, and then he just turns around on his back and the symbol appears on his shirt, that is, oh my goodness. You cannot tell me that's not one of the coolest looking things you have ever seen. And I must say, I really do think character design is a major way of selling an angry character. Literally, okay, so Guts, Kratos, Asura, Goblin Slayer, Doom Guy, and everybody else we've talked about has close to godly character design. It's amazing. And what I really do appreciate about the character design is it's all different styles, it's all different forms of art, but yet they convey the message in the emotion of the character. And I really do think Akuma's design sells off so well, the focused rage that he has. Now, I didn't really like his design in Street Fighter 5, but so be it. Akuma is still easily the coolest character in all of Street Fighter in my opinion, my favorite character in all of Street Fighter, and it just shows how awesome an angry character can be. Now, the final character we're going to be talking about is my favorite comic book character ever, and I was going to make an individual video on him alone since his DLC is going to be in Mortal Kombat 11, which is a dream come true. In fact, I was actually going to make an individual video for Goblin Slayer and Akuma, but I thought, you know what, why not compile it all into one video and do the beauty of the angry character too. But we are going to be talking about the genius work of art that Todd McFarlane created, which is Spawn. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with the story of Spawn, Spawn was essentially a top class assassin for the CIA. He got backstabbed, goes to hell, makes a deal with the devil, which I never understood that. Like, if I see something with horns that's looking a little red and he makes a deal with me, I was taught very well, you just say no. Like, did Cuphead teach us nothing? But he makes the deal because he wants to see his wife again. But to the shock of literally nobody, he was betrayed, and of course the deal came with some major ramifications. So Spawn literally spends the first chapters trying to get his memories back, and once he does, he literally goes on a rampage. Well, correction, because Spawn is one of those characters that he isn't angry all the time, but again, when he snaps, he snaps. This guy beat heaven and hell. Like what? Like what Asura did in his world is basically what Spawn does in his. And what's really cool about Spawn's character is Al Simmons isn't the only hell Spawn. There have been many others, like the medieval Spawn, and my personal favorite, which is Gunslinger Spawn. Gunslinger Spawn is so cool. The art used for that issue was absolutely magnificent, and he just looks sick. But this dude was literally so mad that he's fought everybody and everything, and he's still going. And for those of you that read Spawn, you know it's more than just actually killing. The way Spawn goes about it is very brutal, and he's very harsh to those who do wrongdoings. And I think that's also part of it that sells an angry character. It's not enough just to just beat your opponent. It's the brutality behind it. And part of the coolness of Spawn's character is when he has a mask on, it is a little difficult to tell his anger, but when he takes it off, the drawing and the art behind the rage on his face is absolutely magnificent. So all three of these characters that I've talked about so far have different themes. Being that Goblin Slayer, I would definitely define with an obsessed rage. Akuma just fights a worthy opponent to unleash his rage in full potential. And I would say Spawn just kind of like Asura Asura just kills anybody who's in his way. And also something else I think is really cool about Spawn is in the beginning, even though he has all these new powers, he still sticks to his old mercenary ways using guns. But these are just 3 bigger examples of how awesome an angry character can really be. And if I'm being fully honest, I think the beauty behind an angry character is that as people, we can relate to that feeling of anger. And I think it's kind of cool and satisfying at the same time to see people just go all out. Again, as I said in the last video, to take justice into their own hand. Or if you're Akuma, just wander the entire earth until you find someone strong enough to beat the crap out of. But yeah, I think that can wrap up the video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell notifications. That way you are notified when a new video pops up on some of your favorite anime, manga, or whatever content. This has been The Masked Man. Hope everyone has a blessed rest of the day, and peace.